A family reunited. Samud Karaja finds her father in the crowd. Samud was 21 years old when an Israeli court sentenced her to 20 years in jail for stabbing an Israeli soldier at a checkpoint. She hasn't seen her mother since going to prison 2 years ago. In the car home, she leans from the window and celebrates her return to Ramallah. A convoy of cars escorts Samud towards her village. En route, she changes into military clothing. She says it's important to show solidarity for the Palestinian resistance. A joyous celebration here in this Palestinian village in the occupied territories, welcoming back Samud. Now, the family say they never really expected to see her again for another 18 years. Hundreds of friends and family shout in celebration when she arrives home. On leaving prison, the Israeli authorities made her sign a paper promising she would not say anything to the media that would provoke attacks against Israel. The statement said she would be thrown back in jail to serve the remainder of her sentence if she did. She refused to answer why she stabbed the Israeli soldier.
I have mixed feelings. I don't know whether I'm happy or not because I've left 5,000 prisoners behind me.
Samud's mother is hopeful for the future.
She will finish her studies and she will get married and have children. Her life will be stable. She will have a good life, God willing.
The parties will continue here over the coming days. This home, like dozens of others, is celebrating the return of the people they call their heroes. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, the occupied West Bank.
Tufik Haddad is a Palestinian writer and joins me now live from Ramallah. Tufik, what was the key to unlocking this deal that had been on the table, most of it, for a long time?
It's not clear, but it seems there was probably a lot of things that were going on. You have the fact that it's been 5 years, of course, which is a long time. There's pressure from both sides. On the Israeli side, you have, for instance, the issue of the pressing release of Gilad Shalit, which is getting larger and larger upon the Netanyahu government. Perhaps he has questions regarding his own government coalitions. Additionally, you have kinds of problems emerging inside of Israel, social problems, as we know, these kinds of protests. So there was a need for some kind of release on the Israeli side. Of course, on the Palestinian side, you have the fact that you have thousands of prisoners inside who are day by day spending their years of their life in prison, and without many of them without any hope of getting out. So you have this strong incentive on the Palestinian side to make a deal. You have a prisoner. At some time, you're going to have to try and cash it in. The question is to what extent and when is the best time, and under what conditions can you get the best deal? And I think Hamas figured that this was the right time, given all the things going on in Palestinian society as well as in the Arab world.
Does this change anything, Tufik, between Israel, Hamas and Fatah?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I mean, many of these leaders who are coming out, you have 1,000 Palestinian people who are coming out, they were in jails for their activities in resisting the Israeli occupation. Now, the general thrust of Palestinian-Israeli relations has been determined in the most recent period by the negotiations process, or at least the lack thereof. These people represent the Palestinian agency, the attempt on behalf of Palestinians to achieve their rights through legitimate forms of struggle that they engage in. So of course this will add a different kind of dimension to the ball game, vis-a-vis that it's not just a question of negotiations that are the only way through which Palestinians can achieve their rights, both prisoner releases as well as the larger Palestinian rights, which include obviously ending the occupation, the right of return, etc. But there are other means. Palestinians can rely upon themselves and their allies and their sense of agency and organization and discourse to try and achieve their rights, basically.
Not a lot of people listen to what Tony Blair has to say these days, but he's just said this could be.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, exactly. He's just said this could be a window of opportunity. Has he got that one right?
Well, hopefully, of course, we hope so. I mean, such a statement can mean so many different things. We hope that this release will simply mean that more people will be aware, firstly, of the suffering of Palestinian prisoners, the extent of it, the enormous extent of it. I mean, you're talking about still in prison. There are 4,500 prisoners in jail. I mean, you're talking about 26 of the people who were in prison were in prison even before Gilad Shalit was born. You have 10 people who were released today who were in jail longer than Nelson Mandela. More people need to know about the question of these prisoners and the larger political questions that are associated with them. The fact that Palestinians are under occupation have been since 1967. There are also people who are dispersed throughout the Middle East because of the events that happened in the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. And these are political questions that are outstanding that need to be addressed by... and the fact is, most of the world already knows about it. The reality is, to what extent will people in the West be able to understand more clearly about the situation going on here and be able to mobilize to give Palestinians their rights?
Understand the deal, and understand a deal that would never have happened in the UK or US, that sort of 1,000 for one. That just wouldn't happen anywhere else, would it?
Well, I mean, these things, it's a very particular situation here, of course. Israel has certain factors about its society that entail the reality of whereby the army is such an important factor, so they have to keep some kind of social solidarity. It's a project here that's going on here. They need to have some forms of social solidarity to be able to have the project continue. So who knows, one day maybe perhaps these things could happen in England or the United States. But I mean, a large part of the question is this deal could only, I mean, the discrepancy in the sense of human value. Everybody knows who Gilad Shalit is, but how many people know who Nail al-Barghouti is, who was in jail for 34 years? You know, there are thousands of Palestinian prisoners like that outside, and people need to know about it.
Tawfiq Haddad, many thanks for joining us from Ramallah.